start that. All right, so good morning, everybody. Welcome. I'm Sherry Butters with Jackson Collaborative Network, and I am the manager with our network. So my role is to kind of manage the backbone operations. I get to work with a great team of folks to help do that. And we're going to share a bit of an update on some things with you today, but also just go over what's happening, what's coming up, and share some new things with you as well. So as you came into the meeting, everyone was muted. So if you have conversation you want to join or feedback you want to share during the meeting, please feel free to unmute. We're also going to use the chat. Love the chat feature. We're also going to test out some new tools today. So we're going to use a thing called Menti. Some of you might be familiar with it, just kind of a fun way to get feedback and input. So we're going to test out some new stuff today. So this is our quarterly meeting, and our quarterly meeting obviously happens quarterly, right? So this is actually the second one, the second in the series. We held one back in December. We call it an update meeting then. We weren't quite sure what the future might be for those meetings, but we have since determined we probably need to do this on a quarterly basis, especially since we're not able to gather in person and see each other all the time. It's just a good time to set aside time to get back in touch. So I want to welcome everybody. Was going to have you put name, organization, and email in the chat, but we are such a smaller group today that maybe we'll just unmute and do that if you guys want to. Just do verbal introductions, and following that, we'll have a little bit of activity to just have some fun to get us started. But yeah, if you don't mind, I'll go down the list. That way we don't stumble over who needs to go next. So I already introduced myself. Hannah, are you able to unmute and just introduce yourself?
Yes, I am. My name is Hannah Ball. I'm the Community Services Coordinator for the Jackson District Library. And do you need the email, or I can throw that in the chat?
Yes, we will still need to have you put your email in the chat if you could. I'm sorry.
Can do.
Okay. All right. And then Jen, would you want to go next?
Sure. Good morning. Jennifer Gansel. I'm the parent liaison for the Great Start Collaborative here in Jackson County. And I also work closely, help coordinate activities for the trusted advisors.
It's good to see you. All right, Adam, how about you next?
My name is Adam Grant, and I'm the Jackson Area Recovery Community Coordinator here at Home and New Vision.
Great. And I don't think we met before, so it's nice to meet you. All right, and now everybody shifted, so now I have to remember who hasn't gone next. Oh, Ann Sloan. How about Ann, would you like to go next?
Hi, good morning. I'm Ann Sloan. I'm the Community Health Coordinator at the Jackson County Health Department, and I'm glad to be here this morning. I've had a lot of difficulty being able to attend these meetings. It's just been a lot of scheduling conflicts, so I do apologize for that, but I'm glad that I'm able to join this morning. So it's nice to see some familiar faces.
Great, good to have you here. All right, well, if you haven't yet, put your email in the chat, and that'll make sure that we have an accurate list of who was with us, and we'll also be sending out the materials afterwards. So I'm going to go to our next slide. Oops, I'm going to skip ahead and just have staff go ahead and introduce themselves. And Amy, do you want to introduce both you and Sarah, since Sarah's on an assignment today?
I will. Yes, she's out in the community making magic, right? So my name is Amy Forrest, and I'm a consultant for the Jackson Collaborative Network. And Sarah, as Sherry mentioned, is my partner in crime. She's also a consultant for the network, and she wasn't able to be with us today. But yeah, we're excited. I'm excited to be here and happy to see all your faces.
Tracy, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Tracy Fisher. I am the network's communications and community relations specialist. So when you see things like the website or the e-newsletter, or also I do calls out to different members just to kind of, meet and talk and things like that, that would be me.
And Alexa, she is our chat monitor today too. So she's going to be interacting with you a lot in the chat area, sharing links and things. So
Yep, I am. My name is Alexa Burgai, and I am the Data and Information Specialist for the Jackson Collaborative Network. And I am here to make sure that you have the data that you need to drive action and accountability. And I also serve as the project manager for our collaborative community assessment. So very in the data world. If you ever want to have data conversations, I'm your girl.
Awesome. All right. Well, let me do a quick review of our agenda. So like I said, we're going to have a little fun to get started. Alexa's got an activity for us and just wants to get some input from folks on what's your systems change superpower. So that's up next. We're going to talk a little bit about where we're headed together. So look at those operational goals and objectives for 2021 into 2022. And then Tracy's going to help us just walk through all the things that are in place to either support you, bring you together with other partners, just opportunities for us to either provide some support and some resources or ways that you can stay informed and things like that. And then Amy's got the most exciting part of our agenda today, which is the new stuff alert. That is the new stuff that's going to be happening pretty soon, or that's already launching actually, that's going to bring us together as we start to tackle systems issues and just new ways of working together and supporting partners. And then we'll talk a little bit about what's coming up. We've got just a few things on the calendar over the next several months. So yeah, so that's how we hope to spend our time today. We're a small group, so please feel free to jump in as there are questions, if you want more information. If we put something out there and it's not very clear, let's pause and talk through that as well. So, and then we'll have time at the end for Q&A as well. All right, well, let's move forward. Yeah, so I think I'm going to turn it over to Alexa.
Thanks, Sherry. So I have the super fun job of kicking off our virtual event with a quick activity. So we're all here because we're passionate about systems change, and we're all really looking to address those root causes that are barriers to the residents within our community. So that leads us to, what's your systems change superpower? And I know some of you are sitting there like, I have no idea what that means, a little perplexed. But this can really be anything that helps to move systems change forward, or even just move the conversation forward. So, and some examples of this could be like, you love relationship building or having those harder conversations. You like getting to the root cause of issues. And yesterday we had some that were very they love to communicate, or we had a racial equity warrior, which was really cool. So I put a link in the chat if people want to go over there and just enter in what your systems change superpower is. That would be so great. We'll be able to follow it in live and in color on Menti. This is anonymous, so feel free to be as open and honest as you are comfortable with, and feel free to put in as many superpowers as you would like. So we've got some more. Asking community members what they need. Yes. Disrupt the status quo. We need you. We need you to start all the conversations. Connecting with people, relationship building. Yes. I love it. I'm good at noticing miscommunication and helping clarify for the parties involved. You literally are a superpower. That is so important. Hard conversations. Yes. So I love it when people put good superpowers in here. Stubborn ignorance, meaning I don't become defeated by the answer no, the ignorance of not knowing what hasn't worked. That is such a good one. Supporting grassroots. Mm-hmm. I was like, yesterday we had warrior in there. I was so excited, and look at these ones today. Oh, so great. Providing education. Yes. Continuous education. So I think we may be slowing down.
Well, if you haven't used Menti yet, look up Mentimeter, just Google it, and it's really cool. There's a free version that you get to do just fun things like this, and word clouds, and little we're going to use some real-time feedback at the end, and you'll see some other formats, but it's just a really cool little fun thing to do. So, all right, let me go ahead and
Yes.
close that down.
Back over to you, Sherry. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone, for participating.
Great. So, great. Okay, so we're going to move into just going over really high level our 2021 goals, which translate into a lot of activity that's going to happen way beyond 2021. Excuse me. So we have a set of operational goals. These may not be new for everyone. We have shared them in other settings before, but these were developed in partnership with our network council in reflecting on the work that's happening in the network, the work that had been happening in the network, and thinking about our shared measurement system outcomes and how do we provide the operational foundation that is necessary to help us achieve those community level outcomes. So with our shared measurement system, of course, the vision is a healthy, safe, thriving Jackson community. And so that vision is the same, no matter if we're planning work group meetings or activities like today, or if we're providing a training. All of those things are helping us get to a safe, healthy, thriving Jackson community. It's part of the infrastructure that's part of our work as a network. And just envision, if you can, laying over top of this our shared measurement system framework of supporting folks to achieve their full potential, making sure that residents have their basic needs met, helping make sure folks are healthy and that they're resilient and those types of things. So those two things go together really, really well. So our value proposition for the network, I'm not going to read the entire slide to you, but this piece is really important. So I'll maybe read some of that. So as a network infrastructure, so the infrastructure includes the staff team, but it also includes a network council that meets regularly to support some of the governance and just planning and provide some direction, but they're not in charge of the network, right? So they're the group that helps make sure the network is functioning well and that the right things are in place to support those things to be successful. So in general, as a network, we are coming together to support our partners as they pursue their systems change strategies. So overall, we're helping to improve community member experience. So we're hoping to improve those shared measurement system outcomes that are things like improved housing stability, improved access to food, making sure that we're meeting educational attainment goals and those types of things. Goals in 2021, and again, these are big, broad goals. First and foremost, mobilizing our partners for action. So a large part of what myself and the team will be engaged in moving forward, and for the past year even, has been helping to build the capacity of partners to take action on systems change priorities. So helping you have the tools and the methods and frameworks that you can apply to your work that helps you be successful in those pursuits. And then this is Alexa's favorite, creating and maintaining shared accountability for change. So this is where we make sure that we have all the data pieces in place, where we're able to connect the actions of partners with the outcomes we're hoping to achieve, and we're able to measure the impact that we're all having together. But it's also about creating accountability across our membership, so that as partners doing this work together, that we build a sense of accountability amongst ourselves that's going to help us drive change and help keep us accountable to our community members, because we all represent a lot of resources, a lot of things that are put in place to serve our community. And so we are accountable to those we're trying to impact. Last but not least, growing and developing the network. And so I should have started with a brief description of what we consider the network. So in Jackson, we have between 400 and 500 individuals that are involved in one way or another with our network. So they're committed to coming together in alignment with our shared vision. They're committed to a set of common values. first and foremost is equity, then authentic engagement and continuous learning. But what we're hoping to do is build and strengthen our network and really bring more partners into that work, but also increase the level of engagement of our current partners and really begin to see what is the systems change work that's happening and how can we support that to be better coordinated, aligned, better positioned for impact, all of those kinds of things. And the objectives, hopefully by now you've read ahead, because they weren't secret here, but really looking to achieve these 4 objectives. So everything we do is going to connect in some way with those 4 objectives. Whether that's Amy and Sarah providing a learning community or hosting a coffee chat, or if it's Alexa hosting a work group meeting to talk about the community assessment project, or if it's Tracy putting that e-newsletter together or maintaining a website or making sure you have access to information. All of those things contribute to achievement of those objectives. Whew, that was a lot of words. So I want to pause and just see if there are any questions about this overall goal and objective kind of framework. If there's any clarification needed. It's like the 30,000 foot view, right?
I love the simplicity of the vision, because a lot of places it's overly complicated. A healthy, safe, thriving Jackson community. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it took more than a year to get to that. Yes.
Kind of like making maple syrup. You have to start out with a lot and boil it down. So
yes, that's a
It basically says we want to do it all, Adam. We're going to conquer the world. We're going to fix all the world's problems.
Yes, yes. All right. Okay, well, these are some of the ways. So when you think about how are we going to get there, this slide here is the what. What are we working on together? What do we hope to achieve? And this is how we hope to achieve it, how we're going to get there. So these are the 3 main buckets of work that are part of our network model. So we have a space where we do collaborative action and learning. So this is where we have, coaching, and that's a one-on-one coaching that's available to you as our partners. We have training opportunities, what we call technical assistance, but really what that means is any kind of support, conversation, gathering together that's going to help folks be able to learn how to apply what they're learning, whether that's a coaching session or a collaborative conversation that Amy and Sarah might hold. That all lives in that space. And then also includes bright spots and things like that, where we're lifting up the work of our partners to share those learnings. So many of you are working on amazing things, and being able to share those stories and those examples with other partners is really impactful and helps others to kind of, one, it's great to see others taking action and then it feels more possible, but also you get to learn from the journey that others have already taken, which is very, very helpful. Then in that middle space, we've got our shared measurement and accountability. We talked about that just a tiny bit. That's where our collaborative community assessment lives. We do a assessment process every 3 years. There's a phone survey and all sorts of other data that gets pulled together. And we use that to help us identify inequities in the community and better understand who's not achieving the same results as others and why might that be. And then helping to really dig into that and help make sure that you have access to information that helps you be able to identify priorities and know what needs to happen. Then the last one is capacity for effective collective impact. That one is a mouthful, but that's where the infrastructure is. So that capacity building piece is all about creating the conditions that make it possible to do really great collaborative collective impact work. So it's helping make sure that there's places to go for information. It's helping to make sure that the right kinds of convenings are pulled together. All sorts of things fall in that bucket. So I'll pause there because I know that's a lot of stuff. I got the least fun part of the agenda was to bring set the stage, and then everybody else gets to do the fun stuff. All right. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to Tracy. She's gonna give us some information about some of the tangible things that are in place that are helping support aligning action and coordinating efforts, supporting communication among partners and all of those types of things. So Tracy, take it away.
Yep. Thanks, Sherry. Happy Friday, everyone. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about the tools we have available to foster general information sharing. So this slide highlights some of the network tools that we have available. I'm just going to walk through them really quickly. Again, if anyone has any questions while we're going through, please feel free to put it in the chat or just, just say it. So I think the first and foremost, we have the network e-newsletter. So this is a newsletter that comes out twice a month, and it's a really great way to keep up to date. It includes the most recent updates. It includes links and tools to resources and also information about upcoming events. The good thing about the newsletter is it also includes links to register directly for these events. We also have a network website, jacksoncollaborativenetwork.org, which includes all of this information about the network, and it provides public access to network content and events. For those on social media, we have a Facebook page, which is designed to support general information sharing. A lot of times we post information on upcoming network events, network related news and updates, sometimes updates from our members and partners, and then research reports and articles that we find from outside sources that we consider trusted, that we think that our audience would be interested in. Then we have quarterly network meetings like this one to provide you with regular updates on network activity. We share systems change bright spots and stories from our partners. We provide opportunities for you to connect. Most importantly, it gives you the opportunity to learn and provide us with feedback. Up at the top there, you see our network information hub. This is kind of a one-stop shop for our partners to access meeting materials, information from partner action plans, and it also contains a library of tools and resources. Another great thing that it does is it has a list of network contacts. So if you're interested in connecting with someone else in the network, you can search by name, search by email, and you can actually get in direct contact with them through this network information hub. Next slide, please. So currently in the planning phase is we have network happy hour, coffee hour. And so these are things that this is something that our consultants have come up with, which is a really great opportunity for our members, partners to get together in an informal type of situation. And I think they're really excited to start these off. These begin, I believe, in June. So keep your eyes open for more information on that. We have network orientation sessions for new members, quarterly network meetings such as this one, and systems change profiles, which is some of the excitement that Amy's going to be sharing with you. And it's going to be covered a little later in that meeting, so I won't go too much into that. So keep your eyes open for information on all these offerings through all of the outlets that I mentioned in the last slide. Thank you. So the network offers a lot of educational opportunities, and many of these are on a monthly basis. There are monthly learning convenings, which are designed to educate partners on successful systems change work and collective impact. Learning convenings may also include highlight of member systems change efforts to support collaborative learning. We have individualized coaching, which is available to help you actively engage and lead systems change efforts. This coaching may also include action planning support, problem solving, and then ongoing consultation to help you successfully implement systems change. On our website, we have a systems change toolbox that contains great information on core knowledge areas. And it's, like I said, it's on our website for really easy access. We have our YouTube channel, which contains videos of trainings and learning convenings to provide easy access to content. As Sherry mentioned earlier, this is really good for people who are unable to attend a certain event or just want to follow up on something that they had learned in a past meeting. In regards to collaborative planning, problem solving, and implementation support, we recently launched monthly collaborative conversations, and these bring partners together to engage in systems change topics chosen by our members. They're informal, and participants really drive the conversation. These conversations are a great place to build relationships between network partners and staff. Something you'll hear a bit about later from Amy is affinity groups, which will likely begin to roll out in the summer. These groups will be formed around cohorts of members and partners around 3 to 4 root priorities. They'll lead to collaborative action on shared priorities. So like I said, Amy will be telling you a little bit about that later. We have action planning workshops. So these are bi-weekly workshops designed to assist small groups through the initial steps of the action planning process. If I'm correct on this, Amy, tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe that they actually cut it off at 4 people. So it's a much more intimate setting. So you have a lot better situation to be able to ask questions and really get that personalized touch there. Bright Spots will feature member and partner-led systems change efforts. They may be integrated into other network offerings like a newsletter article or maybe our social media platform, or featured as part of regular network meeting agendas of the Network Council. Examples may be identified by network staff, or it's something that may come to us through your recommendations as partners. And last but not least, a new idea is our data dives, which we plan to be regular opportunities to share and explore collaborative community assessment and shared measurement system findings, and provide opportunities for members and partners to engage in discussion with others about action that's needed. So that is all I have. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Tracy. So I know that covered a lot of things, and several of you have been a part of many of these things, but just wanted to pause and see if you had any questions or want more information about any of these offerings, or if you heard things and you were surprised. Maybe you didn't know those things existed, or you've taken part of them, you've taken part in them. How's that? And have any feedback, to offer. We have a few minutes if anyone wants to share.
That was a lot of information. So
it was, yes.
I do have a question about the individualized one-on-one coaching.
Sure.
I was wondering, you may have mentioned this, so I had to respond to a couple of messages, which is why I turned my camera off for a second. You may have mentioned this, but do you do coaching like career development, how to make sure you're doing your position well in your organization, that sort of thing, that type of coaching as well within nonprofits, or is it primarily one-on-one coaching for your organization as a whole?
Really great question. So I think the coaching that we do within our network space is really focused on helping you build your capacity for systems change. So it wouldn't necessarily be focused on like a professional development component of like helping you kind of grow into a nonprofit leader, those types of things. But we would focus on things like, how do you apply an equity focused lens to the work that you're doing in your role, or what are the issues and concerns that those you are serving are facing, and what's at the root of those problems, and what are the processes and steps you could take to better understand that. And so it's really more focused in the systems change capacity building place. And I would say Amy and Sarah are excellent at just starting wherever you are and seeing what your needs might be. Amy, do you want to add to any of that?
No, you covered it. I mean, I think in the end, you probably do achieve professional development once we've gone through it. It's just not specific to that. But yeah, I mean, I always encourage everyone, if you've got an issue, if you've got a question, you can put in a request on the website or however you want to do it, or email, or give, call, however it works. And we'll kind of walk through whether it kind of fits in the work that we're doing. And there's probably likely pieces that will fit in it. It might not achieve your original, goal, but I'm sure there will be pieces that kind of will you can pull from it.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the process would really start with just an open exploratory conversation of what is it you're hoping to achieve, and really digging into it from there. So I would say if you're not sure, reach out. It'd be a great conversation and would help us better understand where you're at as well. So
I've got a question. We're about to start doing some qualitative interviews especially in the African American community around here, to find out, you know, where we kind of are falling short in some things. So I was wondering, this is a collaborative network. Would you like us to share that information with you so that you can, Alexa's getting excited because I know
like,
she's the data. So she's like, yes, I'm just making sure. I wanted to make sure.
Well, so what's funny is you shared that flyer about your event that's happening this weekend, and I wrote down, need to meet with Adam Grant on their data. So yeah, that's super great. I would absolutely love to talk to you about data collection and any questions that you might have. We are so interested in getting community member qualitative data because it is such an important aspect to make sure we have the pulse on the community. And that's, I mean, opinions are so wonderful. So yeah, I would love to touch base with you. I'm happy to send you an email and we can connect if that works for you.
Absolutely. And then that way you can kind of look over, because I put together a little bit of a pre and post survey.
Yeah.
So then you might be able to give me some ideas on that too. So
yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Yes. That's why I love these meetings, because you never know what connections are going to get made. So this is great. I would say for that example specifically, if there are others on the line, that's kind of in the coaching space, but it's also just in the partnership space. If we really benefit from hearing how others are planning through, like those qualitative data methods. You know, what kinds of questions are you using? What methods are you using to ask those questions? That helps us in our assessment efforts, but we're also able to spread that learning to others. So as we see really great examples of work happening, we're able to share those things with others and potentially connect some people who might benefit from that learning. So yeah, wonderful. Okay, other questions or connections or feedback? Okay. Well, this is the space in our meeting where when we met yesterday, I felt like there should be like confetti coming down, maybe some drum rolls going on. So like this is where the new stuff comes in. And I think there was a lot of interest when we had our first session yesterday in the information we're going to share next. So I don't want to steal the thunder, although
I was going to say this has been such a buildup through all these conversations that I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually come out with something that's so great. So no, we are very excited about the work moving forward. And this really kind of came from a culmination of hearing what our partners in the network needed and having conversations at the collaborative conversations. I know some of you guys were involved in that and you gave us great feedback and there were good questions and just kind of wanted to know, like, how are we making these connections, especially in the virtual world that we're living in? How are we making connections and how do we know what's happening in other people's work? Because often when we got on calls and learning convenes and collaborative conversations, people were like, I didn't know. I want to hear more about what you're doing and then I can build off of it. So this really, we kind of sat and thought about how is there a way that we can connect partners specifically on the root cause issues in ways that will kind of shift the system and change the system instead of continually like trying to put band-aids on our problems. Like, how can we make these authentic connections and how do we know what's going on in the rest of our community? So we wanted to make it simple. We wanted to make it not too complicated. We have actually other ways of connections that are more complicated in our action planning. But this is a way, so we have our partner, you can go ahead and move it, Sherry. We have our partner profile page. This is newly rolled out. And again, thank you to those who were part of the design. We kind of asked, what do you need and where can we go with this? There's a link that Alexa, thank you, just put into the chat that you can connect to this. And it really, it's simple. It's the name, your agency, your email, 1 or 2 words about what you're working on in the community. We try to kind of focus more specifically on inequities that you might be addressing or system change work that you're doing. But however people put it in, we'll take it. We really want to know where your focus is in a simple 1 or 2 sentence so that when someone gets on here and says, oh, wow, I didn't realize that Adam's really working to connect people in, you know, diverse backgrounds to, you know, substance use. I'm gonna mess that up, but so so it's just kind of like it's a way to share what you're doing, to connect with others, When you get in there, if any of you have already linked to that, because it's usually where I go, you can filter it. So you can filter by name, you can filter by root causes. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the different root causes, and we'll kind of get into that in a little bit. But so if you're trying to say, I'm looking to find out who else is working on making services affordable to community members, you can actually click on that root cause, and you can filter by that particular root cause. Thank you, Adam. He's going to jump on it. So yeah, it's not complicated. It's a simple way to connect. This is what the form looks like. So I think we'll have a link to there. There it is. It's always right on it. So this is the form. Again, it's the name, the email, what root cause you're working to address, and a brief summary of the work that you're doing. The root causes, that gets complicated sometimes for people. So our community, if you actually want to shift to the next one, Sherry, has identified 14 root causes. These root causes came from many surveys and questionnaires and interviews, empathic interviews with their community members. So the network has been around for many years, and folks have been doing amazing work, and they've reached out to community members to say what's going on, whether they were working in the health, education, or finance realms. It ended up that beyond the symptoms that we were looking at, beyond the fact that they were addressing, smoking cessation or kindergarten readiness or all of those things, these were the deeper root causes that folks across all sectors were experiencing. So these came from the community members. These are the things that really, when we heard about all of their barriers, boiled down to these deeper root causes. So when we enter the information into our partner profile page, we do ask that you identify which root cause you're closest working on. We know that some folks are doing amazing work and connect to 6, 7, 8 root causes for sure. And that's amazing. But I think, as Sarah said yesterday, you don't get gold stars for all the root causes that you're working on. We love it because we definitely want the strategies that we're doing to address multiple, but try to narrow it down to a 3 or 4 of the top root causes, because that way we can connect you with other folks in the community that are also addressing those root causes. So we will actually we'll be addressing this in a learning convening moving forward. But Sherry, were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to mention question we had that came up yesterday in relationship to the root causes, but also like the form itself, was whether we're completing like a organizational partner profile or if it's an individual. So I just wanted to mention the form itself and the information that's attached to the individual. It's designed to share what you as a partner are working on, not necessarily reflect the systems change work of your organization. And yesterday, the way we chatted through that a little bit was that, let's say you have an organization with many staff people, or even just a few staff people. Likely you all have an area of priority that you're focusing on, or you might have a priority and you're addressing different parts of that. So that's why this is really attached to a person versus the organization. Now, what we can do, because the information we have will note what organization you're from, folks can easily filter and see, let's say we have 3 or 4 people from a single organization. You can go find that organization and quickly see what are the system change things that are being focused on, what are the root causes that are being worked on. So all the information will be there, but at an information gathering standpoint, and in at least the initial reporting of the information, it will be at a person level. So just wanted to throw that out there.
No, yeah, I
really
appreciate you
helpful.
jumping in on that, because that was a question yesterday. But it is, like Sherry said, if Hannah, you're at the library and you might be working on addressing inequitable policies in the library. Well, your counterpart might be working on making sure that people are aware of the services that you offer. 2 different system change things, and you might kind of move in 2 different directions with the work that you're doing, both significant, both important, but 2 different directions. So
Yeah.
let's just pause for a minute before we move into the affinity groups and ask if people have questions. Okay, we will move on. Okay, so this is the next step. This is another way we're looking to connect folks in the community and organizations. So once we have folks that put their information into the profile page, we are able to search by root cause or system change work, and that basically will go into the center of this circle. So in the center, we'll take, say, one of the root causes that might be addressing inequitable policies or practices in an organization. So that would go in the center. We're then going to bring partners together so that Home of New Vision will say, well, I'm doing this in my organization to address inequitable policies. And the library would come in and say, well, we're actually working on this strategy that also, addresses it, or the health department will put in a strategy that says, we've done this to really look at inequitable policies or practices. So it's basically kind of coming around, building off each other's strengths and weaknesses. You'll be able to connect and say, oh, we tried this at our organization, it wasn't effective, why don't we try this? And it's just going to be a great way to come around the root causes, and hopefully as we build the strategies, and Sarah and I will help assist in making sure that they're strong and that they're measurable and that they have community input in the strategies, and we'll help facilitate that as you move along. But it's really a way to build up each other, to find out what's going on, and to then measure how we're moving the needle on some of these root cause issues. What am I missing on that one? So, and again, we talked about you can have multiple root causes. So you might actually be working on inequitable practices, but then you also might work on building trust with community members. So you might be having a little, you'll have a little piece of each, or you might be attending one root cause affinity group and then have a coworker attending the other. And they will shift. We're going to start with one, maybe 2 or 3 groups to begin with. We're hoping to launch this in June. And however many profiles go into that profile page, we'll be able to say, here's our first one. We've got 18 people working on 18, wouldn't that be great? 18 people working on one particular root cause. So we're going to gather you folks and start to build your affinity group. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. Questions on what these might look like, the structure, the design. We really want to make sure that this is effective for our network partners. So if it doesn't seem to be like it's going to be addressing your needs, let us know.
I was just going to, while folks are thinking, I just put a link in the chat to our website. Tracy just built a little portal for us where it's an easy place for you to get to the partner profile. There's also some other pieces in there, but if you wanted to share it with others that weren't here today, that would give, there's a little blurb about what the partner profile is, and it's a quick link to the thing itself. So that's a way you can help others who weren't here get access as well.
Power of language too, Amy. It will be great when you get to 18.
It will be great. We're just starting it off. And so we're kind of coaxing people like Adam to actually enter his information.
I think
No.
I saw a commitment here somewhere in the chat. Maybe.
In the recovery community, we're very much about accountability. So I put myself on blast so I'd have to do it.
That is.
Thank you. Yeah.
I had a private question in the chat. Can community members also contribute to the partner profile?
Absolutely. I think community members that are working in our community are actually making amazing progress, and they are having a great impact, and they're actually on the pulse too. So we for sure want community members, grassroots organizations, government organizations, nonprofits, anyone that is looking to make Jackson a better place and looking to change the system, for sure are welcome to join in on those. And it's going to make each individual stronger by building off each other's strategies. I'm going to actually address too, this came up in yesterday's meeting, that how is this different from what we used to do? And now we're moving back into gathering in coalitions or in groups and things like that. So the main difference is when we gathered before in our work groups or in our strategic doing groups, or our health action teams, we were really focused on addressing the symptoms of the problem. So in health, we were focusing on smoking cessation or obesity or walkable communities. Those were really like the symptoms of the problem. What we're doing in this model is really getting to the deeper problems. So people are smoking, we should get them to quit smoking, absolutely. But what's really going on in their lives that are increasing their stress levels and causing them to smoke? That's what we're kind of trying to get to now. And then I felt like in our old model, we would gather and talk and sit in these coalitions and try to understand what was going on in the community, and then do our best guess at building these things that we could do to address it. And then we would go back to our offices in our 9 to 5 work and not really commit to actually doing or following through on many of the strategies. It was like, great idea, but who's actually going to do it? And how is this going to actually happen? So in this model, it's really partners coming to the table with things that they're doing or committees doing in their organization, and bringing them in and saying, we are doing this at the health department, we've committed to doing this, and we're bringing this to the table, and this is going to affect this root cause, and we're going to see changes, and we're moving the needle on this particular root cause, which is the deeper barriers that our community members are experiencing. So that's kind of the difference in the models.
I was just going to add to that too. I think what this shift in behavior and shift in model is designed to help us do is really get to those hard conversations, because the root causes of the issues that we're seeing in our community they're deep, but also the systems that need to change are like, they require the partners that actually hold those problems in place to actually change what they do. And so this is designed to help create some accountability amongst the partners that are working to affect change in that area. So as you come into that space and talk about the work that you're doing, these won't always be nice, friendly conversations. You know, if we're doing it right, we'll be having the tough conversations around how is that actually helping to shift outcomes? How is that actually helping to improve the circumstance for this population? So we're hoping that it takes our work to a new space that maybe we haven't been in yet together. So it might feel kind of, I don't know, it might feel a little clunky in the beginning. It might feel a little uncomfortable as we get more into the space, but we're hopeful that having us organize around the root cause of an issue is going to open up our thinking and our ability to take action.
Yeah, and I think that's where Sarah and I will help facilitate too, because when a network partner comes to the table and says, well, this is a problem, we're going to ask the hard questions. How do you know? Who did you ask? Who did you talk to? What does the data show? Like, we're really going to dig deeper into making sure that it's not just well, let's try this. And I mean, certainly we will, throw things out there, but it will really be digging into, like, did you ask the right population? Did you reach out? Are you hearing the right things? What does the data show? How do you know? And then in building the strategies, it'll be to making sure that there's significant strategies, that it's not just a Band-Aid, that we're actually addressing that deep issue, and that it's feasible, and that we're going to, who's going to carry it out. And then that accountability piece where partners will come back to the table and say, wow, yeah, we've achieved this, and this is our goal. And then we'll keep shifting and say, well, if this didn't work, let's try this. So.
I did have one other thought as you were talking, Amy, about the question about community members and their role in kind of this new thing that we're doing together. This actually came up in a conversation with a partner not a while ago, or a bit ago, but community member voice is so extremely important to, one, holding us accountable, and also helping to make sure we're focused on the right things and we're taking the right action. So having those community member voices engaged in these root cause affinity groups is going to be so extremely important. So, I think we'll figure out what that looks like and evolves into as we go through the process together. But that was something that came up in a conversation of a community member actually sharing that, they feel that their role is in that accountability space because they know what the problems are. They also know what the solutions are. And when they sit in a work group meeting or a affinity group like this in a setting like that, they're able to share their perspective of whether or not those things you're talking about are going to be successful, whether or not they're aligned with their needs. And that's just key to making all this work. So it's also one of our core values. So let's not forget about that. All right.
Authentic engagement. Who has questions? Go ahead.
I have a comment, because one of the things that I'm hearing is that it's a slight difference. And I think I said this the other day when we met, that it feels less cumbersome. it feels because it's not everybody getting together and having to get on another board and do this. It's like, let's report what we're doing first.
Mm-hmm.
So 90% of the work is already getting done anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then we, kind of compare notes and we listen to people who might not be sitting, in a board meeting or in a staff meeting or something like that. And we get a little bit more perspective and it kind of shifts. And I think that's probably what's been missing from a lot. And that's why I'm impressed with what you guys are doing is because I think this has the potential to be huge. And as we slowly start bringing people into the fold and more community members and stuff like that, I think people who are willing to listen will get all that they need from this and they'll know what direction. So we're working smarter and not necessarily harder. Because I bet you everybody in this meeting right now doesn't work 8-hour days. That's just the way we're wired. So we need to make those 12-hour days, work a little bit more efficiently for us. So I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're going to conquer the world, right? We're going to fix all the world's problems. Thanks.
Can we move forward, Amy?
Yes, please. Okay, so yep, this is a slide some of you might remember from other advanced meetings that we've had and network retreats and things, but it really kind of goes back to our collective impact model. So some complex issues that we have in our community are very, very big and very, very difficult to move. But when we break those things down in each organization or community member picks up a piece of that pebble, we're able to kind of make a bigger impact in our community. And we're, that whole collective impact of like we have a shared agenda and we have agreed on root causes and deeper, issues that we're tackling, and we're going to measure these things as we go along the way, and then we'll be able to see that things are making a difference or things that are ineffective, we're tossing back down the hill. But as each organization and person in our community picks up one of those pebbles, we're really able to make bigger impact. So
one thing, Sarah actually brought a little humor to our meeting yesterday, but wanted to just call out, you can see the difference in the size of the rocks, right? So one, it's so incredibly huge, no one could possibly move that. And in the bottom one, yes, it gets a little more feasible and it's still going to be hard. And I think that, what was the term? Hard, sweaty, and grunty.
Hard, sweaty, and yes.
where it doesn't get easy, like it gets easier. So by working together and each kind of picking up a portion of the work that needs to be happening, it gets more feasible, but it definitely will, like we're never going to get to the easy space. And yeah, we'll still be sweaty and yeah, anyway, just wanted to call that out because it always stands out to me. And I've seen different pictures that represent the same kind of thinking. And sometimes they're little pebbles. And that is also a thing. Like there are some folks who have those littler pebbles, like the rocks are all different shapes, I guess is what I wanted to throw out there. But just the noticing of it doesn't get easy, it just gets feasible maybe. Mm-hmm. So. All right, is this our check-in?
Our poll. This is our accountability piece. So we're gonna pop up a poll to find out, how likely are you to add to your partner profile after today's meeting? I know we're gonna have one that is going to be very likely. hopefully more. And I also understand that it's complicated and it's different and it might feel and look different. And so there might be hesitancy, like we, not sure where you're at, but keep asking the questions and keep compelling us to better explain things if we're not doing that. And if there's things that you're not sure about or aren't comfortable committing, let us know and we'll walk through it or we'll make adjustments. So just keep connecting.
Looks like we've got most everyone. So do you want me to publish those results, Amy?
That would be great.
Okay. I'm assuming folks can see those. Interesting thing when you're the host, you can't. So Amy and I as the co-hosts.
I can't see them. I'm hoping they're all on top.
Oh, so 67% said very likely and 33% said somewhat likely.
Fantastic.
So
we'll take it.
Seems good.
All right.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. Are there any other questions on it or on the design or on things that you were thinking through as I was very probably quickly, because I talked too quickly, explaining, like, are there questions that you might have or things that you want us to keep in mind as we're continuing to build it?
So this is probably, I don't want to throw new information into the mix, but I will. So I had a great follow-up conversation after yesterday's. So we did the same meeting yesterday with a different group of people just to offer more options. And one of the follow-up calls I had was really helpful because, you know, they were really excited about the partner profile opportunity, and also were interested in how will I report my progress? How will I share with you what I've actually done and what I've accomplished? And I was like, yes. So just, you know, stay connected, because there will be new things rolling out as this gains momentum. We'll be likely growing that body of work so that you have access to information that's going to help you continue to be informed and connected with the work that's happening. So. Right. Should we move on to the next? Oh, that's right. We have an event coming up, Amy.
An event coming up. So we showed the slide with the 14 bubbles, and that is a lot of words on a slide. I don't typically like to do that, but it kind of identified the 14 root causes. We are going to be meeting next week on the 19th to do a little learning convening about what does it mean to be root cause focused. So it's really going to be understanding where these root causes came from, how we identified these root causes, and then what does it mean? Like, when we're digging into them a little bit more, what's the difference between addressing a root cause or addressing the symptoms? I think I talked earlier about, so often our work addressed the symptoms of the problem. How are we going to shift the way that we're doing our work so that it actually addresses the deeper root causes? So you're welcome to join us. Alexa, I don't know if you put a link to the registration. You did, of course you did. A link to the registrations in the chat. It's May 19th from 10 to 11:30, and we hope to see many of you there, and pass it on to coworkers or other folks, because we do get a lot of questions. People are like, wait, I don't understand what you mean by system change or root cause, or I know we're doing the work. Does it fit, and is it going in the right direction that is doing this? And so we welcome you all to join us and kind of dig through it and ask questions and learn a little bit more. So,
and I think it's, you know, it's a great conversation to have, because many of us who work in human service organizations or deliver services or programs of some kind, those are designed to meet the needs of folks where they are in their circumstances today. So like, it's designed to address the symptoms, and those are necessary,
yeah.
Right? They are totally necessary to help people get around the issue in order to be successful in that moment in time. And we want to improve that system of care. And I use that term very broadly, but system of care is like all of the things that help make it possible for someone to be healthy, safe, and thriving. But we want to improve that system so that others that come after don't need that workaround, don't need that program or service in the same way that others needed it in order to achieve that same improved result. So I'm excited about a root cause focused conversation. All right. And at the end, we're going to sum up. We've got a huge list Tracy's pulled together for us of all the things that are coming up, and she'll remind everybody where to find those things. But right now, we're going to add a little fun. We'd like to get your feedback on today's meeting. And we tried our best to keep it somewhat simple, I tend to use all the words, and I love to share all the things. So the team was really helpful in reining me back in. So we're hoping that you can give us some feedback in the moment here. Let me get things up, and I will, hold on one second. This is the joys of using new technology, is that I need a moment to make my things work. So there's a link in the chat, and that link will take you to a Menti. And this one is just designed to get your feedback on 3 things. So whether or not this meeting was an excellent use of your time, whether or not you got information that was valuable to you, and then if you would recommend these meetings to others. And in a minute, we're going to ask for input on what would be helpful in our upcoming meetings. But right. Well, I think success, we have one person had a really great time and things went well. We've got 2 people who've responded so far. All right. I'm going to leave it open for just a few more, maybe about 20 more seconds. I love using this as a way to close up a meeting because it just allows you to get really transparent about people's experience and how they feel it went. All right. All right, well, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and close that down. And I will switch it out to our next question, which is about getting some input. So 1 second here. Apologies, when there's many screens, it's very hard to get the right thing up at the right time. So 1 second. All right, so this one asks for your feedback and input on what topics and activities would you like to see in future meetings like this. So as we mentioned at the beginning, we have a quarterly meeting. There's going to be an annual meeting. And these are really not designed to dig into the work that we do together as partners, but really more in the space of keeping you connected, informed, and that type of stuff. So any feedback or input on the topics and activities using the link in the chat. I guess if there's no input, we'll assume this was perfect because, you know, this is an indicator of perfection, right? There's no suggestions, no. But having some of those difficult conversations, that is good feedback. All right. Well, I'm gonna,
Sherry, sometimes it's just hard to be on the spot. I had some thoughts, but they're all about the work that you guys have been doing too. Sharing bright spots is one of my favorite successes that are local with our partners that we know work that's happening, where it's struggling, where it's succeeding. Those are huge pieces. I've kind of felt disconnected a little bit since the groups have reorganized and restructured. So I appreciate the feedback and kind of catching us up on the group as a greater whole, you know, and but the difficult conversations and just for a lot of people who really want to be in action mode, I appreciate that real time. We've talked a lot, not today, but there's just been a lot of talking for a lot of years and we're just ready. We're ready to go.
Yes, great feedback. Thank you, Jen.
Oh, thank you.
And you will get, actually, there'll be a link in the chat before we close up, but there will be a meeting evaluation that we send out in follow-up to the meeting, because I know sometimes, you know, providing feedback on the spot is challenging. So as you reflect on today and as you think about how you want to spend this kind of time together in the future, you can provide that feedback and input via the meeting evaluation as well. All right. Oh, thank you, Alexa. Look at that. The links are just flying by. Thank you for that. All right. Well, Tracy's going to round us out here with what's coming up. So there are so many things to get plugged into and get involved with. So Tracy, I'll turn it over to you.
Yep. Thanks, Sherry. So what we've done here is we've compiled all of the dates of the different offerings that we're going to have over the next, 6 months or so. A lot of them are monthly, like the learning convenings, the coffee connections, collaborative conversations. Some of them are like quarterly, like our quarterly meeting that we have now. And we're trying to give you the dates a little farther in advance so you can make sure to block your calendar. So this information is also going to be available on our website. And we will also be posting things regarding these meetings on Facebook and also we're also going to place them in our newsletter. So any updates and things, just keep your eye open and we're going to be giving you all the information as soon as we can.
Hey, thank you. So yeah, website is always a great place to go. And I can't stress enough the importance of making sure you get the e-newsletter, especially in these virtual times where we're not coming together and kind of just having conversations here and there as we pass each other in meetings and things. The e-newsletter is probably the best way to know what's happening and to hear, kind of what's happening across the network. So I know Alexa put a note in earlier, but if you're not sure you get that, please let us know. Just get in touch with any one of us. And sometimes there's an issue with firewalls and things and email, monitoring and things like that. So if you're not getting it or you're not sure, please let us know, because we want to make sure we're getting information out to everyone. So on that note, we're going to wrap up. Want to let you guys know that we're going to send out the recording for today. We'll let you know when that's up on the YouTube channel. We're going to include the slides from today, which include our contact information. We'll also include all the links we used. Actually, not all the links. Some of them are live and wouldn't make sense to share with you, but we'll include the links to the partner profile, the report of the profiles that you saw, and where to find that information on the website, and all of those things so that you have them at your fingertips. And you can feel free when you get that, if you want to share that with someone else who wasn't able to come today, that would be great. We can't always reach everybody. So having your help with that would be great. So yeah, on that note, we're done, but I wanted to open it up. We did really great on time today. So we will close our official meeting and I'm going to end the recording. And then we can definitely make time for other conversation if we'd like to.